All right, March 15, 2020. Doesn't matter what day it is, and feeling good. Yeah, not the most exciting way to start a podcast, I guess, but feeling good. I've been able. I did Night Guy and Baldy today with Will, and I used an analogy that I feel like I've used before, but if I haven't, I think it's a pretty good analogy, and that is if you've played a video game before, like a shooting video game like Call of Duty, where you're first person, so you're seeing outside of the character's body, like you're in the character, versus something like Spider-Man, where you're outside of the character and you see the character his full body. So I feel like I generally have lived outside of my own. Oh, this sounds super crazy. This is okay. Maybe I'll find a better way to explain this later, but as of right now, this is kind of the best way I can describe it. But I've been living outside of my head, and when I go, I'll just call it first person. When I go in like first person mode, it feels like I am me. It's a weird thing to describe. But regardless of describing it, it seems to be a good thing. I feel like myself, I guess, or figuring out whatever that is, at least at this point. And it makes me wonder if this could be a part of finding your voice as a comic. Like, obviously you need to know the process, the mechanisms of comedy, but I think if this podcast has shown anything, yes, that's my catchphrase again. Within this podcast, I break down at least my idea of the techniques and just what comedy is as a science. I think I break that down pretty well, and I think I understand it really well at this point because I repeat it so many times to people. So now I feel like if I continue down this road of being able to like laser in on myself, the comedy stuff, all those techniques will be able to be used in a more natural way. Like, if you listen to the buddy cast with Damani, then the one with Will, I think you can hear, like, in the one with Damani, I mean, part of that could just be my relationship with Damani and George and that dynamic with us three together, and part of it could be that I'm still getting used to thinking this way. But during the podcast with Damani, I was like in and out of myself, and during the podcast with Will, I wasn't. And I'm not going to listen back to him because I don't like hearing my own voice over and over again. And I've just had the conversations, and I'm not a complete narcissist. I'm like a regular narcissist. I'm like a comic narcissist where I want to hear myself talk to people, but I don't want to like re-listen to myself. Yeah, I feel like, I feel like the words and statements, sentences. That's right. Okay, so I feel like if I keep going down this road, when I come back, even though I won't have been really writing all that much, if at all. I don't know, depending on where this goes, because this is something new I got to dig through. Depending on where this goes, I could come back to comedy better, just because I worked on, like, I took time to work on a completely different avenue of it, and that is just who you are, what you have to bring to the stage. Like, if you're, that's something that you don't, I think comedy forces you to think about the weirder nooks and crannies of your brain, because it feels like when most people start stand-up comedy, everyone's hacky. I don't know why that is. Like when you first start, if you have all these ideas, like I was always, I think it's fair to say, I was always a person that thought outside the box before stand-up comedy. But when I look back, when I think about the stuff I was talking about and the way I was saying it on stage, it felt like hacky. Like when you look back on the stuff it just so fucking obvious and silly, and I don't know, not with little thought. I thought a lot about the jokes, but they were just shitty. I don't know. And comedy, I think, it forces you to think in different and unique ways and look at the way you seem to look at things in a unique way. I think that's what makes a good comedian. So yeah, first person. It also takes up a lot of mental energy. I think that'll stop. It's like when, I'm treating this like how I learn anything, whether it's music or learning stick shift or whatever. And that is when you first start, your brain is getting used to it, like you're retraining your brain and your neurons. That sounds like the right word, neuron, but I have no idea. So I'm just gonna say training your neurons. You're training your neurons to like go in a specific pathway. And it takes practice, and you just keep doing it. And at first, come on, Leah. At first, it's hard, and you have to really think of it. Like I remember when I first started driving stick shift, I was so bad at stick shift. I had to get that window puffy paint, and I had to put it on. I had to put it on the back of the car that said "Learning to drive stick, sorry," or something like that. Please move, or something. And it helped. Like it made people not furious with me. But it was really hard in the beginning. I couldn't do it at all. The gears were just grinding and shifting. It sounded like a transformer, turning back into a robot. It sounded terrible. And I couldn't go up a hill. If I would try to go up a hill, I would just roll right back down. But then eventually I was able to get the car to do what a car is supposed to do. And I was able to do it, and I could do it consistently, but it took a lot of mental energy. And I remember there was a point where I thought to myself, did I make a mistake? Am I gonna have to drive a spaceship for the rest of my life? And then as time went on, I thought about it less and less, and now I literally forget that I drive stick shift now. It just is how I drive. So I think that's the same logic with anything I learned about bass guitar. It was kind of like that, where I had to really think, and then for a while there, I haven't played bass in so long, so I'm super rusty. But when I was doing a lot of busking, there was a point where I just didn't even it was just so smooth. I didn't even have to think about it. So what I'm hoping happens is I can just kind of be in this mode and decide if I need to think in another way. Like literally right now, I have to mentally focus on being in first person while I speak. It's way easier to do it when I'm not speaking, because I'm not doing another activity. Jesus fucking Christ. So, got a fucking heart attack. So, what the fuck? So like this, I'm walking past this house, and it looks like there's somebody pressed up against the window and staring out at me. And I was like, it's probably like a lamp or something, because it wasn't moving. And I kept walking, and it looked more and more. It looked like a kid. You know that fucking Haley Joel Osment kid in the Sixth Sense, the creepy fucking, it looked like one of those classic creepy kids that stares at you for long periods of time before they murder you for whatever reason. I don't know why they don't just, wait till you're not paying attention like a decent person. Why do you need to scare people before you murder them? Just murder them if you're going to do it. Either way. Why do they do that? When they sneak up on you and you always see them, they swiftly walk past the hallway and they just tease you, they fuck with you before they kill you. That's so unnecessary. It's so unreasonable. All right, so I'm walking past the window, and this thing is staring at me, and it's like one of those, I don't know, like it's supposed to look like, it's one of those things where like when you put the fake bullet holes in your car, but they look like really good stickers, so it looks like real bullet holes. That's like what it looks like, basically. Oh, all right. Also, okay. I'll probably have to listen back to it to even know if I'm saying this right, but when I was talking about the window, I was talking about the window, I was in like first person, second person. When I was talking about the window thing, I was in like second person mode, I guess. All right, and literally right now, I probably sound like a fucking crazy person, but I'm just gonna trust this little process and know I'll get better at this. Either way, now I'm like in first person mode. Now I am like present, and I'm wondering will I be a better comic if I'm like this? Like if I'm super present. I mean, obvious. I feel like that's obvious. Like if you're really present in the moment, you're probably going to be better at comedy. I don't know. This is a new idea.